Do you remember I made a video called My Scotland Holiday 2000, and I said on that video that I was making it into a series of me talking about past holidays? That was 2 years ago. I'm doing very well on the series, aren't I? Hey guys, my name is Chris if you didn't already know, and welcome to my video series of talking about holidays and trips that I've done over the years. I do plan on at some point getting to the ones with the videos, and I can show those mostly, not all of them. Some have got copyright music on them, but that's for a later time. This one is my Scotland trip not holiday, 2001, and this one has pictures, not a lot, but some. In my previous video I talked about when I went to Scotland with my friend Martin. This trip sort of came about because of that. Not long after that holiday, I don't know if it was in the same year or it was in the following year, but I was at work one day and somebody had just changed their calendar because it was a new month, and there was this lovely picture of this sort of like freestanding rock formation thing, and I'm like, where is that? And it said on the bottom in the corner, Sandwood Bay, Scotland, and I was like, I need to find this place. Now at that point I didn't have the internet, no access to it. In fact, I don't think Google Maps even existed back then. I could be wrong. So the only way I could find out where this place was to look for it in a map. Now I can't actually remember if I did do that, like looking around the coast of Scotland to find this place, or I looked in a book somewhere. I don't know. I don't remember how or why, but once I found it I was determined that I have to go see it in person at some point. It's taken some thought, but I've realised that I did this trip in August of 2001, which is 22 years ago. But I still remember it fondly, so I can regale you with the story. So yes, August, I decided I'm going to take this trip to Scotland. I didn't tell anybody about it apart from one person, my brother Tony, who at the time was, I believe, 15, maybe 16, or just about to turn 16. I myself was 26 at the time. The reason I told my brother Tony is because I wanted him to look after my house, because at that moment in time I'd only been living here for, say, I think 2 years, so I was still a bit paranoid about, you know, possibly having it burgled. I needed someone to look after it. So of course I had the bright idea of, I'm not going to stay in any B&Bs, I'm not going to take a tent, I'm going to sleep in the back of my car, which was a Nissan Micra. Yes, I know, not very big, but anyway. And I remember I got up, I think around 2, maybe 3 o'clock in the morning on the first day, because I wanted to get to Sandwood Bay by the end of that day. Ridiculous, I know. I mean, I was young, come on. I know better now. But I was determined, so yeah, I set off. I put a few things in the boot of the car, you know, a wash bowl, bottles of water, tons and tons of snacks. I've just remembered, what was I going to do for toilet facilities? I remember now, I took a bucket with me. Oh no. Yeah, and of course a blanket and some pillows. So I set off on this trip. Don't worry, I'm going to get to the photos eventually. I don't really recall much of the trip going up to Scotland, but as I got into Scotland, I remember passing Loch Lomond, and I didn't stop. I just carried on going because I was determined to get to Sandwood Bay. I really was only going to stop at one place. That was my idea. So I just kept going, and I got onto the road to Glencoe, and that's where this first picture comes in. Because I had to stop to get pictures. I'm not one of those who drives taking pictures. I might do it when I'm filming sometimes, don't judge me. But yes, this photo, I'll show it up here. As you can see, I pulled over into a lay-by to get a picture of, this is the road to Glencoe. Well, it is Glencoe. Yeah, the whole road is part of Glencoe. Anyway, which leads to Fort William. I also got this picture whilst I was there. I walked across the road to get that. That was just a lock. I can't remember which lock it is, but yeah. And then I went further down and I had to get that picture of the mountains in Glencoe. I've done it a few other times since. But yeah, I was pretty excited that I was in Scotland again, getting these photos. So I get to Fort William, and the only thing I did there was drive up Glen Nevis and then back down again, because I love that road. I remember the year before that I went up there with Martin, and I just had to do it again. As soon as I'd done that, drove out of Fort William and headed towards Fort Augustus. Again, didn't stop. I must have stopped at some point to eat. I don't know. The one place I was going to stop wasn't Fort Augustus. I believe I drove straight through there, or unless I did stop there for food. In fact, I probably would have done that. There is a petrol station there in the shop, so I probably stopped there for food, but then carried on going so I could get to Drumnadrochit, which is where I wanted to stop. That was the only place I wanted to stop on the whole run. And I remember this was like, I don't know, mid-afternoon, something like that, or sometime around 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock or something daft like that. So I'd really been forcing myself to get up there as quick as possible. And the only reason I wanted to stop there to do anything was go for a boat ride, because unfortunately the year before Martin didn't want to do that, so I didn't get to do it. And that's what I wanted to do, go on a boat on Loch Ness. So that's what I did. And whilst I was out there, I got this picture of Urquhart Castle, Castle Urquhart, I think that's how you say it. And unfortunately that's the only photo I got. But anyway, I enjoyed a boat ride, which is, like I said, the only thing I wanted to do. I can't say to do, what? Hey! Soon as I'd finished that boat ride, got back in the car, started heading towards Inverness, because I knew I had to go that way to get to Sandwell Bay. As you get to Inverness, there's like a bridge that heads north. That's where I went. And around there, I'm trying to remember the name of the place. Hold that thought. Found it, Ullapool. That's where I got to, at least I think that's where I went to get some fuel, because I figured once I got to like the top end of Scotland, petrol stations were going to become far and few between. I wasn't wrong. In fact, I remember there was one place, it was a house that had a pump, and you know, they allowed people to use it for a price, obviously. I remember it was like at least 10p more than anywhere else because it was so remote. But anyway, yeah, Ullapool, filled up there, carried on going, and then I came to, well, I saw this river flowing, so I stopped to take photos. I was, like I said, I wasn't going to keep stopping, but I did. And I got this photo. That's the bridge where I was going to drive over, getting this photo. I also got this photo as well. The waters are pretty rough. I've actually got film footage of it in one of my holiday films, which I'll eventually show at some point, probably in about 16 years time. I can't remember the name of this place. I just know that I've been to it twice now, or 3 times. No, twice. Huh, really? That all? Anyway, after I'd done this photo, I carried on going further and further north, although for some reason I decided to do sort of like a detour rather than just keep on going towards Sandwell Bay. Don't ask me why. I have absolutely no recollection as to why I did. Like I say, it was 22 years ago. But at this point, as I'm travelling around there, I've been on the road for 16 hours. I kid you not. I was so worn out. I'm like, right, I need to stop somewhere. I need to pull over and just, you know, rest. So I pulled my car over in this nook right here in the middle of nowhere. There was nothing there that I could see, and I'm like, right, this is where I'm going to go to sleep. And I tried going to bed early. I could not sleep for the life of me. I don't know why. There were no noises. It was super quiet. I wasn't scared or anything like that. I just couldn't get to sleep. I mean, I must have had a bit of sleep here and there, but by 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, you know what, I've had enough of this. I need to get up. You know, maybe because I was too cramped in the back of my Micra. So I got out of the car, started washing up using my wash basin and the water that I had, getting attacked by bugs left, right and centre. Surprisingly, I didn't get bit, which I'm very thankful for. You know, brushed my teeth, whatnot. Did I have a coffee? Did I have a kettle? I don't think I did. I had lots of snacks, like I said, so I was eating them as breakfast. But here's the thing, I set off, and a few miles up the road, I came across this like really tiny village. And I say tiny, there was like maybe 8 houses, no fencing or gates, sheep everywhere, and in the middle of it all was this restroom thing, block, where you could have, you know, use facilities, the toilet, and wash up and stuff. And I'm thinking, I could have parked here and stayed here for the night had I kept on going for like another half an hour. Oh well. But I still used the facilities and carried on my way. And about an hour later, I found myself in an area where you park your car up. There's a few houses on the hills, and I had to trek 4.5 miles to Sandwood Bay. I knew it was that trail because there was a big sign saying Sandwood Bay this way, 4.5 miles. I remember it being pretty arduous. You know, you have to pass, I think, 2 locks at that point. Eventually, I did get to Sandwood Bay, and I was like, wow, this place is amazing. In fact, I started taking more pictures, like this one, and there's that standing rock. The sole reason that I wanted to go up there to Sandwood Bay. So you see the mountain to the left of it. I decided in my infinite wisdom to climb up there. I mean, there was a trail. I wasn't like rock climbing or anything. There was a trail to go to the top. So I did. So I could get this picture. I mean, that is what drew me to Sandwood Bay. And so I just took a few more pictures whilst I was there. As you can see here, that's Sandwood Bay itself. Must be at least a mile and a half trek from there to up to the top. And then of course I had to be immature and do that. What? I couldn't help myself. So it was at this point that I swore to myself that one day I'm going to camp at Sandwood Bay because it was so beautiful. And I have done, and it is in that video that I mentioned earlier that I will show at some point, you know, 16 years from now. Now here's the part of the story that I'm ashamed of. I've mentioned it before, I'm pretty certain, in a previous video, but I decided instead of, hold on, let me show you, walking back down to that beach to go back on the trail, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go over the mountain and head towards the trail. I'm sure I'll find it. No. For an hour and a half, I was lost. Up in the hills, the mountains, whatever. I could not find no trails. I couldn't see anybody walking at all. It was just open plains, and I was getting attacked by lots and lots of midges and mosquitoes. At this point, I'd put my raincoat up and like put the cover over my face, like, well, over my head, and I'm like swatting these flies and bugs and whatever else away from me for an hour and a half, until eventually I saw a couple walking along the trail, and I'm like, I found it, I finally found it. I'd somehow gone sort of to the right rather than straight on like I should have done. There was nothing to get my bearings with. I had no compass. I was an idiot. But yes, I saw people walking along the trail, so I made a beeline for it. As soon as I had to climb over a couple of fences to get to it, but once I got to that trail, I literally got down on my hands and knees and kissed the floor. I did, honestly. Anyway, I did eventually get back to the car, and I'm like, right, time to get out of here. And I went up towards Cape Wrath, but I didn't actually go that way. I thought, you know what, I've just got to keep on going. And to this day, I still haven't been to Cape Wrath, which is strange. I need to do that at some point. I carried on going, and at this point, I'm like super hungry. I need proper food. I didn't have any proper food. I don't know where it was, but I did find like a cafe somewhere along that road. I don't remember what I ate. I just remember I stopped there for food. Until eventually I came to a town called, hold on a second, Thurso, that's it. Maybe that's where I went to this cafe, I don't know. But not long after that, you get to Dunnet Head. And there's like a winding road that takes you all the way up to the top where the lighthouse is. And as I'm going up that road, I thought, this is a perfect place for me to stay for another night. Anyway, I got to the top and I took this picture. Don't ask me why. There's a lighthouse up there, I promise. And for some reason, I've not got a picture of the lighthouse. I think that might be part of it to the right of the picture. But I was taking a picture of like the ocean and this plinth thing. And I also got this picture of Orkney Island. At least I think it's Orkney, it could be Shetland, or a Shetland behind. Hold up, let me double check that. Okay, according to this, they are all Orkney Islands. Okay, you learn something new every day. And then afterwards, I'm like, right, I need to sleep again. I've been, I've had one of those days where I got lost, I was starving, getting attacked by bugs, slapped myself on the wrist for being an idiot. So I parked my car here. This was sort of on the trail to Dunnet Head. And I had a wonderful sleep that night after I'd used my facilities, the bucket. Don't worry, I didn't do it in the car. I did it at the side of the car where nobody could see me because it was dark. The trouble was, during that night, I woke up, I don't know what time it was, but my nose started running and I realised it was bleeding. For no reason whatsoever. I mean, did I punch myself in the middle of the night? Was I picking my nose whilst I was asleep? I don't know. So I had to sort that out, but once I did, back into bed and went back to sleep. Now, for some reason, I have no more photos bar one, which I'll get to. But the next day, after I'd washed up and everything, I set off, went to John O'Groats. Didn't enjoy that place. I don't know why I don't like it. I just don't. It's not for me. So I was only there for, I don't know, 30 minutes maybe. Set off towards Aberdeen, which was a bit of a trek, but I did it. Got to Aberdeen, and like I said in the previous video, where Aberdeen is very confusing in the centre, but for some reason, the place where near the harbour where there's the restaurants and arcades, I can always find. And I did. I found it like that. No problem whatsoever. So obviously I went for food whilst I was there. And then I was like, right, I need to find a place to sleep. It had gone dark at this point, and I found myself on a trail going up to a lighthouse, and I saw this sort of lay-by, so I parked the car there. And it was pitch black, couldn't see anything. Luckily I had torches with me and stuff. Got into the back of the car to go to sleep. Best sleep I had in the back of that car. Honest to God, I didn't set no alarms. I just slept soundly. Woke up the next morning feeling quite dazed. Got out of the car to notice that just to the left of this road is a big car park. I'm not sure if I remember seeing that or not. And just a bit further this way from where the picture is, there's a sign saying no overnight parking. I never saw it. It was pitch black. And my intention that day was to get to Edinburgh to find a B&B so I could stay there for, I don't know, a night, maybe 2 nights, I don't know. So set off, got to Edinburgh, no problem. Got to Pilrig Street, which is where I usually go for B&Bs. No vacancies in any one of them. I kid you not. At this point, because I've been driving for so long, I don't know how many miles, I was very weary. And I'm like, I still need to go into Edinburgh. I must go to Edinburgh. So I left the car at Pilrig Street, went up into the city centre, did a bunch of shopping. By, I think it was 4 o'clock, I was so haggard that I'm like, right, I need to go. I need to go home. I need my bed. So I get back to the car, fills up the car before I set off. And normally it takes me about 5 hours to get back from Edinburgh. Not this time, it took me about 4.5 hours. It must have been light traffic, that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Here's the funny thing. Remember when I said I let my brother Tony look after my house? Oh yeah, he was looking after it. As I pulled out in front of the house, all the lights were on, and I saw 3 figures in the living room, and suddenly, as soon as they saw me, started scattering around, running around. Yeah, my brother had invited 2 of his mates to come snoop around the house. I mean, there's nothing to find. But yes, I had been running around Scotland for, what was it, 4.5 days. I would not recommend it for anybody, ever. Because I kid you not, I got home and my right leg was so stiff from using that accelerator the whole time for 4.5 days. I couldn't walk properly for about 2 days, 3 days, whatever it was. Luckily I was off work, so it didn't matter. But I left the car at home for days after that. I just couldn't face driving. It wore me out. It was an experience, but one I would never try again without a tent for starters and proper knowledge. I mean, I know better now. I've gone round that trip again since, and I use the common sense of taking somebody with me. But that's, again, for another video. And there you go, that's the story of my trip to Scotland in 2001. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry that there wasn't more photos, I don't know why. I'm guessing it was that same camera from the year before, but I don't know, there's no dates on these. But never mind. So now that I'm finished with that, all that's left for me to say is thank you for watching and subscribing if you have, and liking this video if you did. Until the next time, peace out. I really do want to keep making these videos. Hopefully it's not going to be 2 years from now before I make the next one. I've realised that there's a trip that I had to Holland for 3 weeks that I went for work that I could talk about. I'm sure there are other trips that I've done. Yeah, like Lanzarote in 2004. I'm pretty sure I've got photos of that. Maybe that's the next one. But I really want to get to my films so I can show some of those in future videos. And I know some of those I've vlogged, like for example when I went to America. But there is footage in these films that I never showed. You know, sometimes I'd finish vlogging but carried on filming into the evening with my camcorder. I'd like to show those. So Chris, mental note, start making more videos. Okay, Chris.